So when I woke up today, I thought I was only going to be reacting to one set of cards, but as it turns out, we didn't just get the Raikas last night, but we got the openings of Maze of Millennium and all the new Flame Swordsman cards that come with them. I'm looking forward to talking about both of them. I know that the Flame Swordsman stuff comes from other creators' reveal videos, but now it's time to do what we all do best on here, taking other people's content and repurposing it for our own! This is truly my villain arc. Let's get started with the Flame Swordsman. So we saw fighting Flame Swordsman last time. That was just our big search 'em up card. Like it mills cards, searches cards. I forget exactly what it does, but it's basically our big Stratos card. Next up is Salamandra, the Flying Flame Dragon. That's pretty neat. So we referenced Salamandra a couple of times because that's the iconic equip spell that you give Flame Swordsman in the anime. The fusion spell wasn't quite that, but now they're just name dropping it entirely. So it's a level 2 Fire Dragon effect monster, 700 attack, 1600 defense. While this card is equipped to Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, the equipped monster gains 700 attack. As you do. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target a warrior monster you control and equip this card to that monster you control as an equipped spell. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Salamandra spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So, we can just search the original with this, but it only gives us attack boost if it's a Flame Swordsman related card. This does mean it can still see play in decks that like equip cards, specifically warrior ones, as just a way to equip them with a monster, and if they have any effects that trigger on that, you can do that. But for us, it's a nifty attack boost that gets us a Salamandra card. Hopefully, we got some worthwhile ones. Okay, Mirage Swordsman. I caught a lot of flack when I said there was no way that Mirage Knight was going to show up as part of the new support. But I didn't see it in the art. It's not my fault. The question is, are they adding Dark Flare Knight? Is that going to be part of it? We'll see. So, level 8 Fire Warrior effect monster, 2800 attack, 2000 defense. If a face-up Fire Fusion monster, or any number of them, you control are destroyed by battle or card effects, you can special summon this card from your grave if it was there when the monster was destroyed, or hand, even if it was not. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy both battling monsters. If this card is destroyed by battle or another card's effect, you can special summon a level 7 or lower monster that is Flame Swordsman, or mentions it from your deck or extra deck. Why? What? Okay, so... Okay, I gotta get the words out. I can't just be... So, I don't like anti-synergies, especially in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I understand it whenever it's old card design, you know, it was an older time, a lower power level... Maybe we were just figuring out how the game is supposed to be. That's fine. But nowadays, when you have effects on a singular card that don't click together, that's frustrating. Like, if that effect triggered when destroyed by any card effect, you could have Mirage Swordsman run into anything, pop them both, and then trigger the effect to summon a Flame Swordsman monster from your deck or extra deck. Like, am I out of my gourd here? Is there something that we're supposed to be doing with this? Because it feels like that should work together. I don't know. I'm not expressly happy with this, but maybe there's another thing that'll pop it. Okay. Ultimate Flame Swordsman, level 8 fusion. Notably, we cannot make this using Mirage Swordsman. It's a level 8 monster that only gets level 7, so I'm like, oh no. Okay, it requires Flame Swordsman regular and Fighting Flame Dragon, which is the fusion monster that we talked about earlier. It can target a monster your opponent controls and destroy, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. This is a quick effect if this card is equipped with an equipped card. Okay, that's fine. You know, we give it one of our equipped cards, it's 3,500, and then it's a quick effect Destruction Burn. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles, you can double this card's attack until the end of the turn, but if you do, destroy it during the end phase. Okay, now that's not terrible. it doubles this card's attack, not original attack. So if we give it the Salamandra boost, it's now 3,500. Go in, start a damage step. It goes to 7,000. And it punches for a lot. Now, it can only use that effect once per turn, but Fighting Flame Dragon does give you a double attack. So you are looking at a double attacking 7,000 monster. And it pops itself, but when it does that, you can get Mirage Swordsman back. And that's kind of like a blocker. It only destroys during the end phase of this turn, not during the battle phase. So you don't just get a Mirage Swordsman at some point earlier in the turn. Okay, that's fine. We already saw Fighting Flame Dragon. Flame Swords Realm. Okay. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when you normal summon a Fire Warrior monster. Once per turn, you can send a monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Special summon a Flame Swordsman from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon. Once per turn, when a monster declares an attack, you can target a warrior monster you control. Until the end of this turn, it loses exactly 1,000 attack, but all other monsters you control gain 1,000 attack. Okay, so you activate it, send the monster, you get a Flame Swordsman, just regular old Flame Swordsman. This way, it bypasses having to play the component materials. That was another thing people were oddly on about. Why didn't Nova talk about the component materials? Because the component materials for Flame Swordsman sucks. And they never factored into the anime, so, you know, I don't see any reason they would be part of this. You get that. Once per turn, when a monster goes an attack, target a warrior. So it doesn't have to be the warrior that's fighting. So you could have one monster attack in. And then when your other monster attacks in, you could have the one that's already attacked lose 1,000, and everything else gains a bonus. That's pretty big. Like, even just on a 1-for-1 trade, you're taking 1,000 attack points from one monster that's already attacked and giving it to another one. Or worst case scenario, you have to do the trade beforehand, or the transfer beforehand, so that you can run over something. But even then, that's just letting you distribute your attack points where you want to, and it lets you just punch over stuff and deal a lot of damage, because if you have two other monsters, then that's a total boost of 1,000 extra to your board. That's not terrible. I guess also your opponent can't activate cards or effects when you normal summon a Fire Warrior is pretty good, but Okay, Salamandra Fusion. So we can search this off of Salamandra or the Fighting Flame Swordsman, and we could also search this off of Fighting Flame Swordsman as well. Okay, Salamandra Fusion. Equip only to a Fire Warrior monster. Gain 700 attack. We're just going to keep doing that. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. While this card is equipped to a fusion monster you control, you can send this card and the equipped monster to the graveyard. And if you do, special summon a Flame Swordsman or a fusion monster that mentions it from your extra deck that is treated as a fusion summon. You only use the effect of Salamandra Fusion once per turn. Okay. So this is a pretty easy way to get out our monsters. You send this card and the equipped monster to the graveyard. So any Fire Warrior, you slap Salamandra Fusion on it, you send them both to graveyard, you get Ultimate Flame Swordsman or Fighting Flame Dragon, I believe, because it mentions Flame Swordsman, so you can just make it. Okay. So as long as you can search an equipped card, and boy, do Fire Warriors love their equipped cards. Thankfully, Isolde isn't around anymore for those shenanigans, but we still got that, and it's a fusion spell for what it matters. Okay, Fighting Flame Sword. Just Fighting Flame Sword. Activate one of these effects. Add a card from your deck to your hand that mentions Flame Swordsman, except a copy of this card. Or, when an attack is declared involving a Fire Warrior you control, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. Or, your opponent, when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it, that you control, negate that effect. Hey, modal cards are good. So, at the very least, it's a search card. You can get any of your Flame Swordsman related cards. It searches spells, traps, and monsters, so this is a big consistency booster. So 1 is removal when your Fire Warriors attack, and 3, it's also a negate for targeted effects. This is going to be an easy 3-up. I know it's a hard once per turn, but the fact that you can hold on to this until the last second and then fire it off for the search at the, like, if nothing happens, and then otherwise just keep it on hand for interaction is kind of wild. Oh, folks, Get your Joey Wheeler impressions out. It's time for Salamandro with Chain. Oh, we couldn't possibly resist, and I'm glad they didn't. Normal trap card, target a fire monster on the field, equip this card to it as an equip card, and it gains 700 attack. Then you can change an effect monster on the field to face down defense position, so it's also a Book of Moon. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fusion summon a Fire Warrior or Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling its material from your hand, field, and or grave into the deck, but destroy it during the end phase. I'm not upset about that. It's a free summon. It lets you recycle your material to make the fusion happen. It has a pretty wide variety of things you can get. Fire Warrior, you know, that's, I'm pretty sure, a limited pool, but any Dragon Fusion? And once again, destroying during the end phase is kind of okay because of how free of a summon it was, but we do have Mirage Swordsman to help out with that, to help mitigate what's going on. Okay, last card, Flame Swords Dance. If a monster is special summoned, special summon a... Oh, it's a normal trap card. If a monster or any number of monsters are special summoned, you can special summon a level 7 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck that is Flame Swordsman or that mentions it. Then you change one face-up monster on the field to face-down defense position. Another Book of Moon. During your opponent's battle phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and tribute one face-down defense position monster. Special summon a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it from your deck or extra deck. You can only use this effect once per turn. Oh, but they are not mutually exclusive. Okay. So we search this out. Our opponent special summons a monster. We flip it face down. And now this is in the graveyard. Flame Swords Dance in the graveyard. So this is telegraphed, but they have a face down defense position monster. If they want to go to the battle phase, they are going to... No, wait. No, wait, no. During your opponent's battle phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and tribute a face-down defense position monster. Oh, but it's not one our opponent controls. I was so RGB on this card! No. Tributes is cost, and because it doesn't say our opponent, we do have to use our own face-down defense position monster. That's unfortunate. I mean, we can change one of our monsters face down, so that would be something we can do, but... I mean, why? Why would we do that? Okay, this card is actually pretty mid. Okay, so what... Knowing what we know about all of these cards, what do we do with them? So Salamander Fusion feels like it's our big ticket item. We get a Fire Warrior monster on board, we equip it with this, and then we send them both to graveyard to make Ultimate Flame Swordsman. We need to get Fighting Flame Dragon out too. So maybe the idea is to actually get Fighting Flame Dragon, and then we regular fusion out Ultimate Flame Swordsman, and then we equip the Fighting Flame Dragon to it from the graveyard. There also might be cards that will keep it from being destroyed by card effects. We might have some equipped cards that do that. I wouldn't be surprised. They didn't put in a Dark Flare Knight. What's going on there? I guess you could summon the Dark Flare Knight with some of these things that summon from the extra deck, but, you know, why? Yeah, I don't know. This seems like it has even less promise than the Gate Guardian cards, to be honest. Like, at least the Gate Guardians had a big boss monster that synergized with, like, you got all the pieces out there, and then you banished them, and you had a big monster, and it had protection. Ultimate Flame Swordsman is, you know, beat down. It's what I would expect from an archetype for them. And I guess, like, flavor-wise, I'm okay with it. There's a lot of fire, there's a lot of Salamandro references, it's fire, there's warriors. Fighting Flame Sword is legitimately, I think, a good card. I just don't think it has enough to get through. If you're playing a Fire Warrior deck, you already have Infernobles. Even though Isolde is gone, the deck still has some really, really grand monsters to play. I don't know why you would dedicate a lot of deck space to playing something like this. At the very least, you're running Salamandra Fusion as a way to access Ultimate Flame Swordsman or Fighting Flame Dragon, if that's generic enough to use in Infernobles, as a little way to boost their engine. But at that point, you know, we're once again co-opting cool anime flavor cards for meta decks. And while that's not inherently a bad thing, I just kind of wish the anime deck was good. I don't know. One of those things, once again, let me know down below. What am I missing here? There's obviously something that I have not considered yet. I hope that you all know it better than me, because I want these cards to be good. I want the Flame Swordsman cards to be good! Okay. Speaking of good cards, though, we're not done here, because I've now seen the Maze of Memories. Now it's time to check out Raika. I am looking forward to this. Okay, this is what it was. I opened up the Wikipedia page and I saw that, and I knew I wanted to wait until today to react to this, so that's where I got that. Okay, so Tri-Brigade 2. Raika can be read as Budding Calamity. The theme is aggressively Japanese, so to preserve the feel, we kept the name in Japanese, similar to how spirit monsters have been done in the past. Cool. I know that there's an additional article, What's in a Name. I don't know if I'll be going over that on screen, but I'm definitely checking it out after this to learn a bit more about how all that works, name-wise. Okay, Raiko no Marikube, a level 1 Earth plant monster. Okay, so I was thinking a bunch of insect stuff. Oh, but there it is, insect, plant, or reptile. Now, insect, plant makes a lot of sense, because there's been a few cards recently that have use both insect and plant. I guess the big one beforehand for a long time has been Trap Tricks, but those haven't really had a lot of inherent synergies. A lot of their stuff is just Trap Tricks monsters, not both of them. But we did have that Synchro monster a little while ago. I forgot the exact name, but it does work with insects and plants. So seeing that and adding reptiles on there, glad to see we're getting another grouping of cards. I like it when multiple types get lumped together as kind of like a cohesive theme. Not only does it open up the door for a lot of support for a bunch of different cards, not just one type. Yu-Gi-Oh! Already has a problem with individual types already having an identity anyways. Like, machines and cybers are functionally the same a lot of the times, aesthetically and gameplay-wise. You just spit out a bunch of monsters and you rank stuff up. All kinds of stuff. So I'm glad that we're getting this all put together. So, you can only special summon this card with the first effect once per turn. You can only use the second once per turn. Oh, you can only special summon with the first one and use the second effect once per turn. Okay. You can special summon this card from your hand by sending an insect, plant, or reptile monster from your hand to the graveyard. Okay. This is an inherent effect, or inherent summon, so this isn't sort of chain, and it fills up your graveyard. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add up to 2 Raika cards with different names that are banished and or are in your deck to your hand, except copies of this card. Then banish a Raika card from your hand. You cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except this new tri-type. IPRs. PIRs? Rips. Reptiles, insects, plants. Rips. There we go. I'm coining it right now. If you see it, you have to call them rips now. Tri-types are Beast, Beast, Warrior, Wing Beast. These are rips, okay? You heard it here first. Okay, so insect, plants, and reptiles, I don't know how many of them have good banish synergies. I know Bee Troopers have a few of them, though I think it's specifically for Bee Troopers, not insects. Correct me on that one if I'm wrong. And maybe this theme will have that. Maybe we won't get a non-bow when we have things that are like, when this card is banished, we can trigger it with that. It also helps make up for the fact that you -1 when you special summon it from hand. I do like how that goes. So, next up we have Raika no Yahazu Kamikiri. Oh, I remember Kamikiri from the Flying Kamikiris. Really old cards. Level 3 Light Insect Monster. 1500 attack, 0 defense. You can only special summon this first with the first name per turn. You can only use the second effect per turn. You can special summon this card by placing one of your banished insect, plant, or reptile monsters on the bottom of your deck. Well, there we go. It's fuel for summoning this. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for the link summon of a Raika monster, you can target one of your level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile monsters in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. Ooh. Okay, so it's a general revival, except for link monsters, because it summons in defense position, of any of the rips. It recycles a banished monster, and this one does not rip type you. It doesn't rip lock you. See? We're figuring this out. Yahazu Kamakiri, arrow neck longhorned beetle, but it's actually wordplay on Yahazukiri, a phrase meaning cutting something so fast that the enemy doesn't even notice it. In particular, Brook of One Piece has a special move called Hanauta Sancho Yahazukiri. It very much, I guess that thing where like someone like the draw cut and then they get cut in half 15 seconds later. Okay, Raika no Yoroi Tokage. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. It's like a cannon lizard thing? Level 4 Dark Reptile, 2300 defense, 0 attack. You can only special summon using the first effect once per turn. You can only use the second effect once per turn. You can special summon this card by banishing an insect, plant, or reptile monster from your graveyard. Okay, there we go. So that's the loop. Assuming that this holds, the plant monsters will discard to summon. The reptile monsters will banish from grave to special summon from hand. And the insect monsters will return a banished card to special summon from hand. So we got a clean little loop here. Also, this is dark, this is light, this is earth. Okay, so you have different attributes. You can special summon this card by doing that. You can discard an insect, plant, or reptile monster, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls, except a rip, and return it to the hand. Okay, it just bounces a card while it's on the field. Yoroi Takage is Armored Lizard, written as Armored Stone Dragon. Okay, alright. Okay, Link 2, Raika no Musha Dokuro, a Link 2 fire plant monster with bottom left and bottom right arrows, 1600 attack, requiring any 2 monsters, including a rip. You can only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn. Also, you cannot special summon the turn you activate them, except rip types. Okay, this is an entire turn thing, so we can't do some stuff and then play this and then move on from there. We do have to stay rip lock the entire turn. You can target a Raika monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. Neat. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target an insect, plant, or reptile monster you control, place it on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, special summon this card. So, you link it off, or you link for it, you link it off, it goes to the graveyard. You take one of your rips, recycle into the deck, get this back, and then you can summon a Raika from graveyard again. Very cool. That's wow. That's great, because once you get that established, any one of those rips turns into this, and that unlocks your game plan. Mushidokuro is Warrior Skeleton. Okay, Raika no Ukaminushi. Link 3, Wind Insect Monster, 2300 attack, left, bottom, right arrows, 2+ monsters, including a rip. You can only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn. You can banish banish 2 insect, plant, and/or reptile monsters from your graveyard to add a Raika trap card from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target a rip monster that you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except insect, plant, or reptile monsters. Now, this one is for the rest of the turn. Oh goodness gracious. So using any of these effects locks you for the entire turn. Using the revival effect on this one locks you for the rest of the turn. There's a lot to keep track here. Oh my god. Okay. Ukaminushi is wordplay on Ukamikiri, a type of longhorn beetle, plus Ukaniushi no Kami, one of the most important Shinto kami of Japanese mythology. Alright, well, glad to see that they've stopped by. Okay, next up we have Raika no Kusarigami, a Link 4 fire reptile monster with 2900 attack, bottom left, and all right, and all 3 of the bottom ones. 2+ monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile, one of those rip types. You only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can make both players unable to activate monster effects in the hand for the rest of the turn. Hand trap troll? Okay. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target a rip monster you control, place it on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters this turn except insect, plant, or reptile monsters. So this is a big body. It doesn't do too much by itself, but yeah, if your opponent activates any monster effect, you can keep them from... Yeah. don't hand trap me anymore. Don't Bestial, don't DD Crow. Some archetype specific things, I'm sure. Okay, that's a interesting floodgate. Okay, Link 5. Link 5, Raika no Dialga. It is the left, right, bottom 3 arrows requiring 2+ monsters, including a, No, these have to be Rip types. This, no, including and. These have to be all Rip monsters for this material. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's deck and or extra deck, you can destroy 2 monsters on the field. Okay. The first and second effects are once per turn, so you don't just get to keep doing that. But if they summon from a deck, you get to pop 2 monsters on the field. If this card's in the graveyard, you can target an insect, plant, or reptile you control, place it on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Holy cow. Okay, so the Link climbing here gets easier and easier as the game goes on because you can keep reborning your Link monsters for the cost of a single Rip. And then once you get Raika in rotation, it just takes a single one to put it back on the board, and now you're threatening popping monsters every time they summon out of the deck. That's... ugh. Dialga is wordplay on Ogre. Kanji is read as Great Oni Fang. Yikes. Okay, Raika Ryoran Kurisaki, a continuous spell card. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. Remember, one effect, all Rip monsters on the field gain 300 attack. Also, all other face-up monsters on the field lose 300 attack in defense. It's not for each, so there's no multiplicity to it. It is just a static 300 gain for Rips and 300 debuff for anything else, causing a 600 total point swing. This is kind of wild, though, because it doesn't say you control or your opponent controls. So if this gets good, the mirror match is going to be a little funky. What's the other effects? You can activate one of these per turn. Either add a Raika monster from your deck to your hand, then discard, really good card selection, or special summon one of your Raika monsters that is banished or in your hand or graveyard in defense position. Or we just get to summon one of our Raikas. Okay, so that seems pretty freaking useful. That second one is a hard once per turn, so we don't get to use multiple of these on board to get that, but we can play multiple of them to continue stacking that boost. It doesn't have its own multiplicity, but it does apply each separately for each one that you control. Raika Dairin Kubi Karimai, a normal trap card. You can only use the first and second effect of this card once per turn each. On activation, target cards your opponent controls up to the number of Rip Link monsters you control with different types and destroy them. Just one. We do have one that searches a trap card, I think. We'll double check that in a second. If a face-up Rip monster you control is destroyed by a battle or card effect while this card is in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, target one monster your opponent controls, and destroy it. Okay. So, just good retaliating. Dairin Kubi... Kairmai... Oh, man, no. There ain't no way. I'm messing that up. Is Great Ring Headhunting Dance. Okay, so... At a Raika trap. Okay, so our Link 3 adds it. So, banish the 2, get the Raika trap cards. Okay. That's pretty nifty. So, I guess thematically, yeah, this is Tri-Brigade 2, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not necessarily seeing the same kind of explosive synergy that Tri-Brigades had, right? Like, a single Fractal looped you through almost your entire series of cards, and then you just made Link monsters for free. Right here, we are seeing a bunch of, like, multi-type Link synergies, which I think you have to do Link monsters with those nowadays. There's too much of a difference between playstyles for those different types for things like Xyz, Synchro, and Fusion to really cohabitate very well. Link monsters make it very easy to do. This is very much going to, however, end up like Tri-Brigade, where its best pieces are co-opted by other themes. But honestly, in situations like this, it works. It very clearly wants to work with other themes. The question is, which ones? Bee Troopers, of course, is the big one that comes to mind here for insects. Bee Troopers, maybe some Insector stuff, I'm not entirely sure. Plants? I'm pretty sure that plants would like some of this stuff. Free monsters, card selection, removal. These link monsters can help lock out effects. We can pop cards with the big link 5. And reptiles, I have no friggin' idea because there are exactly 0 competitively relevant reptile decks currently in rotation. Arguably ever, I think. Showing my whole ass here with my lack of format knowledge. But maybe, you know, once again, this could be the thing that helps bring some of those reptile decks up a little bit. I'm looking at you, Ogdwaddick. It's gonna be your time to shine eventually. I know it is. I know it's gonna happen. Mark my words. But honestly, it is really gonna come down a lot to what synergies people find with these. This entire pool of cards is going to be too broad for me to think of right now, but once again, I turn to you, the YouTube watching audience. As a conglomeration, a gestalt even, of Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge, I am leaning on you. Let me know what synergies between the Rip types exist, what other archetypes are getting a huge boost because they can access this really sweet of cards. And I guess we'll be covering these in February, once we have access to the full card list. We'll use this knowledge to make the video even better. So thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for stopping by and listening. And remember, Monster Reborn is a spell card. See you next time. Today's episode is brought to you by my lovely patrons, as well as the wonderful people over at Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. Today's episode was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders Frankie and Marluxia is a Girl, Nebula Navigators 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Andrew Newman, Kane Senpai, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Dark Dragon X830, Emily Chan, Eric, Aaron the World Breaker, Garland Chaos, Genesis Yu-Gi-Oh!, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Howling Zangetsu, Hydrocraft 135, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Mana Charge, Marion James E. Picata, Mega Combi, Millennia Asta, Muzuki Clark, Nathan Vig, Natiel Lee Alexander, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sammy Haim, Serenity Towns, Sir Knight JCB, Sim Antares, The Wizard Moose, URTV 667 and Xander Wolfensberger, Cosmic Crusaders Alpha Sly, Almento 5010, A Random Pup, Ariel Kersey, Beluga Masta, Blitzwolf, Blue Gem, Borger with a Shotgun, Chaz Ghost, Corbinisms, Danny Bound, Dr. Reaper RIP, Drachenwald, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Inblink, Jester Designs, Kale the Dragon, Carp, Kevon Public, King Scarlet Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lemon Yu-Gi-Oh!, Lord Whoop-De-Doo, Manga Pages, Matt Simmons, Mick Spoofy, Michael Shimabukuro, Mustafa Aiden, Nitromo, Shizuki Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Stephen Williamson, Taylor Seymour, the legendary Raven, and Zaldreka, as well as the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits, and many other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you checked out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.